morning, Sam. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, no bad. I'm feeling great.
You feel great?
Yeah. Today is that big day which we have been waiting for years and years. So finally we're here to let the people decide which way they want their future. I travelled across the country, all over the even Inverness side as well, proud to the Scottish, and we are keen to winning the Yes campaign,
I see the amount of people that have never voted before that have come out to vote, and we saw them there going in for the first time to vote. And there were some 16-year-old boys, and I chatted to them and I said, how does it feel voting for the first time? So everyone's really excited. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you look at the people who are voting yes, they're happy and cheerful, and the people who vote no are like,
Where's your dad?
My dad's at the office doing the canvassing, making sure the canvassing gets done.
He's always working.
Yep. It's a busy couple of days. Today's going to be the busiest day. It's the referendum day, 18th September 2014. Everyone in Scotland's going to know where they were when this referendum happened. I was here at Pox's Primary School.
There you go.
Oh wow, fantastic to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, people have been energized. Communities have been energized. It's a grassroots-led campaign. It's not just about indigenous Scottish people. It's about different communities. You can see Asians, Africans. There's Nigerians for years. There's Africans for years. There's Castle Mill for years. It's Maxwell Drive and Maxwell Drive.
No.
Albert Drive.
No,
Albert
keep
Drive.
that one safe. Keep that one safe. And everyone, mostly people, I introduced SNP since 1995. Me and Bashir Ahmed, late Bashir Ahmed, he's first MSP and he's a councillor from this area, first staff councillor, and then.
Said better together. It's better together. It's better together. If it ain't broke, why fix it? Question mark. Better together. If it ain't broke, why fix it? My problem is that I believe it broke. I don't believe we're better together.
We are at the centre of the Commonwealth of Nations, which is a hugely important association of countries in Africa and around the world.
Well, why don't you come with me 1 mile, 2 miles down the road into the East End of Glasgow, and come volunteer as I do at the food banks, and ask me tens of thousands of people that have to go to food banks every single week because they can't afford. They have to choose between heating and eating.
My question was, what would happen to people like me? Would you automatically become Scottish, or would you become English, or would you have the choice?
People who might not be here, who have been going through the hell of the immigration system, are we saying after 19 or 18 September, the whole immigration system is going to be, Scotland will have a different, unique immigration system?
My name is Graham Campbell. I'm the convener for Africans for an Independent Scotland, and I'm very involved in the Yes campaign. Scottish people have, for the majority of the last 60 years, had governments that they didn't vote for foisted on them, and therefore had policies that they didn't agree with foisted upon them. Recently there's been a lot of changes to the welfare policy of the Conservative Liberal coalition government. Those parties don't have any votes in Scotland. They don't have legitimacy democratically to run Scotland. I think that we should have a government that's run from Edinburgh. We've suffered from very reactionary immigration and detention policies. I mean, many of our African communities are refugee communities, and they have suffered tremendously with false claims of bogus asylum seeking and false claims. Victims from civil wars like Congo, Sierra Leone, Liberia have had to go through humiliation of waiting for even up to a decade to get their papers processed. The other thing that makes it difficult for asylum applicants is that they can't work. So the Scottish Government is saying, well, we will allow asylum seekers to work from day one. That would immediately lift a lot of people in our community out of poverty straight away, because you can work. Once you can work, you don't need to be found, you don't need to disappear, you don't need to hide, don't need to be exploited, you can work legally. Once you can do that, that ends all of that trafficking and all those illegal stuff that happens and exploitation of our people.
This?
Yeah.
Me.
Oh, good.
Pour la fumée. C'est moi. My father was from Ghana and my mother was from Scotland.
And you were born here?
I was born here. Ah, il est arrivé, Monsieur Chinaka.
Hello, Paula.
Oh, did we get our banner?
Yes.
Très bien.
I could come up to Castle Mill. What time do you need it for?
We're on from 1 till 3. I should say 12 because he's always late. What? With Nicola Sturgeon. Yeah. They asked me about the NHS and stuff like that. I says, you only picked me because you knew I go to the NHS. If you want any of these leaflets for your table, help yourselves. I've got some there. They're the Africans for Independence ones. So
we've got some of
if
those.
you meet any Africans and that. Yeah. And then when you hear about things like the British Empire and all these other countries, including Ghana, where my dad came from, I just felt it's really, really important that Scotland has independence too. If Jamaica can have independence, if Ghana can have, in Nigeria, India, how come these guys can all have independence but we can't? So enough's enough. Now is the time to take back our land from the imperialists.
No, 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 we can't stand it. No, 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 we can't take it. No, 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 we can't stand it. No, 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 we can't take it. No, 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 we can't stand it. No, 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 no.
Well, I arrived in Scotland in October 2008 to study at Strathclyde University. I studied international public policy and I graduated in 2009. What used to be the United Kingdom Border Agency has increasingly restricted people coming from non-EEA areas. So, for example, people come from Africa and so on. In the past, the Scottish government had what they call the Fresh Talent Initiative, which allowed students to work here, stay back after graduation and work for 2 years. But then the UK government abolished it and replaced it with a point-based system. So that has then that means that as soon as you finished as a student, you just went back to your country of origin, and you go back and with all the skills and experience you have, and you don't have anything to offer to the country that's harbored you for a year or even more than that.
وأعد لهم جنات تجري تحتها الأنهار
The thing is, I need them for.
Yeah, no problem.
I need them for what? Hi. Excellent. Good to see you.
Nicola, this is a special surprise we got to Rabia.
How are you? Yes, I know all about you. Yes, it's lovely to meet you.
Are you happy with this visit?
Yes. It's hectic like it normally is, but I'm quite used to it being like this. It's like everyone's quite passionate about it, and you've seen how they all react. So yeah.
I was there last Friday. I walked in after the prayer into this sidewalk, and Mr. Darling was with Anas, our MP from Glasgow Central, and he was taking pictures with Muslim brothers. And I asked him, what do you think about Iraq war? And he refused to answer. And I says, blood on your hand. And everybody started to shout. TV camera, photograph, they all turned to us. He walked away, wouldn't answer. What did he do in Iraq war? It's illegal war, unjust war, unauthorized war. They killed over 1 million innocent people there. And look what happened in Iraq. This is what Better Together is. They cannot be trusted. They will go to another war.
And are you happy with the visit of SNP representative?
Yes, I'm very happy to see her here, and we welcome her here in the mosque. Very good to see her.
My name is Jahangir Hanif. I'm one of the councillors for Glasgow City Council. I'm a member of the Scottish Asian for Independence. We feel that Scotland would be a much more gentle and a much more fairer country compared to the UK.
Do you care about the Dongavel Centre?
Yeah, well, obviously we care about the people in there. We don't care about the centre. We would like to see it closed as soon as possible, and the people who are being held up there in inhumane ways were being treated fairly and possibly settled in Scotland. We believe it's inhumane and it should be closed.
It's horrific. I think it's barbaric that we have 25 minutes away from the centre of Glasgow 130 nuclear warheads, weapons of mass destruction. We've been to war with other countries to stop them storing weapons of mass destruction, and yet for me it seems like it's scrap metal. It's scrap metal because if we never use it, it's scrap metal. And if we do use it, it's the end of the world. What an important message it would be if, come independence, we were to say that the first step that we would take as a nation would be to abolish nuclear weapons. It would send a tremendous message out to the world. What a tremendous message would be to the world, for instance, if we were to stop our double standards on foreign policy. If we were to, for instance, as the Scottish Government have done in recent days, condemn the double standards of Israel, the collective punishment of Palestinians. If we were to say that we will no longer have hypocrisy, central core of what's been with the Westminster theme, that when it comes to dealing and shaking hands with butchers, with dictators around the world, that won't any longer be our foreign policy, that we'll be able to stand up proud and say that as a community, as a country, we should act as a beacon to the world on human rights, on justice and compassion. Now, that can seem like a big list.
An independent Scotland would rank as the 14th richest country in the world. We're richer per head of population than countries like France and Japan, indeed richer than the UK as a whole. We're not subsidised in any way, we pay our way, we stand financially on our own 2 feet.
And indeed the best of both worlds. Our own parliament, where we make our own decisions that affect us every day, our own identity, our own culture, our own tradition, but still having the safety and security of being part of the United Kingdom.
And I think that when we look at the current political landscape that's dominating the UK, we're seeing really hateful and anti-immigrant stance, which is being dominated by the right wing of the Conservative Party and the UKIP Party. And sadly, I see that Labour's not really putting up much of a defence of that.
This is not like a general election where you pick a politician you like or you vote against a politician you dislike. This is a big, irreversible decision.
Yes, we need to control immigration, we need to make sure levels of immigration are correct for our country, for the needs of our society and our economy, but we should never, ever, ever try to suggest that immigration is a bad thing or that immigrants to this country do not contribute massively, because they do.
My name's Suki Sangha. I am a Sikh, so I'm from the Indian community in Glasgow. I'm also a leading member of the Radical Independence Campaign. I've been involved in the campaign from the very beginning, and I'm also a trade unionist for Unite. The Radical Independence Campaign is a grassroots campaign. We launched it in 2012 after a massive conference in November 2012, and the idea behind the Radical Independence Campaign was to ensure that we had an alternative to the mainstream. we're also the campaign that sort of initiated the idea of going into working class sort of communities and getting people registered to vote. So we've been driving that agenda since the very, very beginning about getting ordinary people involved in politics, and it's the ordinary people that feel that they've had no attachment, or they've not had a reason to be part of the political scene for a very long time or for their entire generation. So for us it was about making sure that we bridge that gap between politics and the people, because at the end of the day it's ordinary people that shape politics, not politicians.
dadweynaha Soomaaliyeed bulshada Soomaaliyeed ee ku dhaqan magaalada Glasgow gaar ahaan guud ahaana darafyada iyo cirifyada magaalada Glasgow ee Scotland halka isugu yimaadeen.
All Somalis who live in Scotland, this is the first day that we all participate in this kind of meeting and gather with such number.
I am very, very pleased to be here with you this evening. Scotland is a very diverse country with people of many cultures and many backgrounds. In a few days' time, Scotland will get the opportunity to decide whether or not it wants to become an independent country. I hope that all of you and all of Scotland will vote yes.
It's a serious time. You better mind how you walk, when you walk, who you're walking with. Better know the borderline, cause certain places you know you can't walk at night time. Hear me now, this a serious time. There is no time to waste and no time to mess around.
Sorry.
The creation of Pakistan was a one man's dream. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, our founding father.
Assalamu alaikum. One of the great privileges of my life is representing, as the MSP for Glasgow Southside, a very, very large Pakistani community. I am proud that the Scottish Government has been at the forefront in calling for an end to violence, for a ceasefire, for an end to the blockade on Gaza, and for long-term justice for the people of Palestine. But regardless of the outcome of the referendum in 10 days' time, this community will be as important to Scotland after the referendum as you are now. If Scotland chooses to be an independent country, then your contribution to that country will be vital.
कहेगी मिल्लत से तुम जिधर हो हिलाल पर्चा बुलंद रखना। और आप सबने पिछली मर्तबा एक दुआ थी मेरे अपने वतन के लिए जो बहुत पसंद की थी, तो मुझसे
At this moment in time, we are disadvantaged as a Scottish nation. We are not allowed to implement decisions which could benefit our community and our economy. We can reduce the duty on the tourism by half, and we can reduce landing charges by half. That will increase our tourism almost double, and that could create 100,000 jobs, which we cannot do at present under the Westminster government. We can only do that if we have the powers at hand. So that's one of the examples. I can quote 20 other examples just like that.
Absolutely. I'm fine. By yourself? I'm good, thank you, yes. So you're voting yes?
What you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they have the right, visas will be honoured. Passports will be honoured, all of that.
There is a lot of folk coming in, and because obviously when the debates you don't really hear that. It's more about the currency, the pensions, the jobs, and so many other things.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Another question. If you say yes, if you win,
No. This is your country as much as it is my country. Okay?
that's fine. That's fine. Nicola. Thank you very much. God bless you.
This Tory government who do nothing for us, definitely. Yes.
One of the biggest difficulties we've got as a country economically is competing with the pool of London. So if we can lower corporation tax, we can encourage more businesses to set up here, and it's all about trying to create
Well, London's not just about tax. It's not just about tax. London is like a major financial hub for the last 800 years or something.
If you don't agree with that, it's not a reason not to vote for independence. You don't have to vote SNP.
No, but it's what affects people. It's what's going to affect people, and a large bit of it's going to be economy. I was going to vote yes anyway. I've voted SNP for the last 20 odd years, but it was just a few questions just to make sure you're yes, quite right. Yes, just want you to make sure.
I don't know whether you've been on streets or not, right? Whoever I've seen, right? Everyone has been carrying Yes badge on the cars, on the windows, everywhere, and I don't see why it shouldn't happen. I'm proud of my dad because he's playing a great role, for the independence of Scotland. And he's been working very, very hard, right? I've seen him day and night, right? Yeah. He came and he's been, as you can see across the road, he put the posters and everything, right? And all the time I get to see him, right, whenever he takes time out, right, the only thing he talks about is SNP.
The people's, they're coming for support the Yes campaign, and some are the undecided and some are decided, We want to give the boost, the coming election, That's the way we arrange the big gathering up here.
The Muslims in Scotland and the Muslims in Gaza are maybe brothers and sisters in Islam, but the humanitarian approach shown by the First Minister and his government proved that this wasn't about religion, it was about humanity. The Scottish Government announced that hospitals in Scotland would be open to civilians who were injured in the conflict. Westminster stayed silent. That is why I am voting yes.
The day before the Commonwealth Games started, we had a business conference, and I was being interviewed for that conference by Mr. John Humphreys, the star radio interrogator of the BBC. So John's question was this: do you not feel, he said, looking at the delegates from the 71 nations and territories of the Commonwealth, that the people here will be very worried about the prospect of independence? I said, not really, John, because all of these nations and territories have become independent from London over the last 100 years. What will our immigration policy be in an independent Scotland? It will be a policy which supports skills and supports families. We support skills because we want to attract people of skill from countries around the world. We want to educate them in our great colleges and universities. And then we want to give them the right, if they so choose, to work in this country to raise the wealth. And we'll support families because we will not have a situation where people are unfairly separated from their families by unreasonable financial penalty. We will support families because independence is about bringing families together in Scotland, not having them divided across the planet. The first question will Asian people, and this applies to all the communities. removed from Scotland. One of the lies being spread by the so-called Better Together campaign. Now the answer, obviously, as Nicola Sturgeon said, is of course not, because people here are wanted as part of our great Scottish community, part of the great tartan of Scotland. But the actual answer is even more fundamental than that. Of course not, because you are the community of Scotland.
Hi Tahir.
Hiya.
How was the day at work?
Oh, I was quite busy. Yeah.
Quite busy?
Yeah, very busy. Yeah. No, I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to prepare for the referendum campaign for this evening. We've got a stall and we also do some canvassing as well. I'm in help out my family sometime at the weekend, and also involved in various other organisations. For example, I'm a board member of Chartered Management Institute, and also I'm a secretary for local community council, which looks at the various community issues and try to address them. Yeah.
Do you see your family sometime?
Yeah, I do see them all the time. I mean, they are involved in the campaign as well, and various other things. My origin is Kashmiri. I'm a Kashmiri descendant, and my family's been here. Like my grandfather, my mother's father, he's been here since 1926, and my father's father was in British Navy. I would say the Scottish National Party government has been very, very friendly, or very close friends, or had very close relationship with the Muslim community, whether it was war in Iraq, whether it was July 7/7 bombing, or any other fascist parties demos, or British National Front demos in the streets of Glasgow or in the streets of Hawkshields or outside old mosques. I mean, they always stood shoulder to shoulder with us. And I think the Muslim community does appreciate that, and that is the reason there's a big shift. They moved away from the Labour Party to the Scottish National Party, because Labour Party tend only to come out during the election times, and otherwise you hardly see them.
Yes, they're taking all the clipboards. Well, they're try there.
No, I need help there.
You need help there?
No help for a few minutes.
Aye, that's fine. Okay, where?
Yeah.
At Albert?
Aye.
I'll see you there.
Because no camp is there just now. So
right, okay.
We need to be there. They're perfectly entitled to be out and about to do the campaign, but it's surprising. It surprises me that they have not been out and about for the past 2 years, and they took it for granted that they thought the Scottish people will just vote no. Yeah.
Is it too late to go out?
It's too late. I mean, the majority of people have made up their mind, and now they're here to show that.
It's a serious time. You better mind how you walk, where you walk, who you're walking with. Better know the borderline, cause certain places you know you can't walk at night time. Hear me now, this a serious time. There is no time to waste and no time to mess around. This is your time to shine. Never let nobody ever hold you down, cause things set away out there. Looks like you're getting rougher every day.
Really enjoying myself. It's because you're so passionate about wanting to make a change in society. You know, when are we ever going to get that chance again to make such a big scale change? You know?
As for what we were talking about in school, in modern studies, my teacher, Mr. Wright, he was telling us about devolution max. It'd be good because people in Scotland, you know, would get all the powers but would still be in the Union. But the thing is, what we were wondering was, even if it's devolution max, that England still get that little bit of power over us. You know, how England's there and they think we're here, and devolution max would be good, but independence would just be better for Scotland.
Tahir, you have a future politician in your family?
Yes, I do, yeah.
So the Yes campaign is not really based on identity, it's based on democracy and giving Scotland the ability to access our own resources, take our own decisions so that we can build a better country. And for people in all communities in Scotland, in our Pakistani community, Indian community, Polish, people from all over the world, that is a message that really resonates.
What did you do for that?
I think it is simply down to believing that people who come here from other parts of the world, who choose to make Scotland their home, who do us the honour of choosing to make Scotland their home, are welcome and have a massive contribution to make. And we've always made it very clear that an independent Scotland is for everybody who wants to live here.
When you analyse it, it doesn't mean anything tangible in terms of improving the country, improving the quality of life for people in Scotland.
You mean independence?
No, Britain.
Okay.
Britain.
Well,
Britain. The idea of Britain is still, like, I call myself British, I'm Scottish, I'm also Nigerian as well. And for me, the independence question isn't about nationality. It's actually about what I genuinely feel is the best opportunity for everyone. Not just for people living in Scotland, but for the rest of the UK. I think an independent Scotland, a more socially democratic Scotland, a Scotland that focuses on welfare and improving the lives of the less well-off, as opposed to improving the lives of the rich.
Or increasing the pockets of the
increasing profits for the rich. I think there's more opportunity of having that within an independent Scotland.
I know the armour's heavy now, I know the heart is tired. It's beautiful just over the wild mountainside.
You look a bit tired today.
I'm very tired. I've been tired for a few days now. I've got rheumatoid arthritis, and one of the symptoms is fatigue.
Yeah.
So if I do things, I would tend to do something on one day and then I would take a break for the next day. But because of the Yes thing, I've been doing something every day. And I have to get B12 injections, and I'm... Where's that phone? I had Perthes disease as a child, and that never really got fixed, and that's why my hip joint is in a bad way. And they've discovered that I have damage to my spine, so I'm waiting to get surgery in the next few weeks to see if they can resolve that. They said I should have my surgery by the 19th of November. So hopefully they call me in after the football, because Scotland's playing Ireland on the 14th and England on the 18th. So I don't mind, I'll go in on the 19th, that's fine. No, we have the National Health Service, which is free at the point of need. That's what they say, free at the point of need. But basically, everything's free. So if I wake up one day and I don't feel well, I phone the doctor, I make an appointment, I go and see the doctor. They are privatising a lot of the health service. So although in theory it's still free, it's now being owned by private companies. And a lot of people in England are afraid that this means in the future they're going to have to pay for their health service. And that's one of the big reasons that we want to have our independence, so that that kind of thing couldn't happen in Scotland.
Are you thinking of voting, sir? Yes, wonderful, thank you. Yes, I can get all the same. I'm telling you. That's okay, not a problem.
As Lord Robinson said, all the forces of darkness are coming. If you vote yes, and there'll be a cataclysmic event, and it'll be the balkanisation of Europe and reignite terrorism. I mean, it can seem funny, but since then you realise
They are fighting with everything they possibly can, because they are petrified at the breakup of the British state. And listen, the way I see it is, they've murdered millions across the planet to retain the British state, to retain the Union Jack. So we're lucky in one extent this is a peaceful revolution.
Yes.
So of course they're going to fight.
There are definitely yes voters along here, all in the windows. Yes. So you can go into this property.
Here, 1 to 3, Pollockfield Primary.
Just like primary school.
3 to 5 is St. Albert Primary. 5 to 7, Pollockfield Primary. 7 to 9, Pollockfield Primary. And it's not that I'll be there all the time, probably be taking some break here and there.
They may well try to wind people up. I think they quite possibly will try and wind people up. So just keep your distance, keep smiling, do everything by the book. And passive aggressive. Yes, passive aggressive. That will annoy them more than anything else.
Cara Brown, Derek Wilson, Abdul Majid, Carolyn McConville, Irfan Rabbani, Mohammed Schwaib, William Wallace, Ricky Bell, quiet! Quite enough of that. Hamish McPherson, Ghazala Ahmed, Tasmina Ahmed Sheikh, Joan Forbes, Khalil Malik, Tahir Mohammed, Nighet Nassim Riaz.
Actually, this is not a picture, this is a video.
Oh, yes.
I think this is electrifying. I mean, the crowd here is just. I like words to describe it because this has never happened before.
Just supporting independence. So tomorrow, only a couple of hours left. Finger crossed.
I've never had a country in my life. This is an opportunity to translate that into a country. Tomorrow morning?
7 o'clock, first thing?
Yeah, with my toothbrush. In there.
Les causes peuvent faire seul. Mais faire seul ne veut pas dire qu'elle se détachera carrément des autres. Et les causes pourra voir comment entretenir de bonnes relations, que ce soit commerciales, économiques, avec des pays d'Afrique et d'Asie. Donc c'est tout un gros marché et je crois que l'avenir est prospère pour l'Écosse. Donc,
j'ai fait un enfant en Afrique avant de venir m'installer ici. Je paie mes taxes, mais jusqu'aujourd'hui, l'Angleterre ne me permet pas de me réunir avec ma fille pour qu'elle vienne me retrouver ici. The campaign has been a very long campaign, 2 years of campaigning, canvassing, registering people to vote, leafleting, having public meetings, having debates, conferences, which we have done from the Yes side, and we have basically reinvigorated politics from the grassroots in this country in an unprecedented way. I mean, I have never seen this square this full since the Iraq War. From Uganda. I was born in Uganda until I was about 5 years old. Moved over to the UK, I've stayed here, and Glasgow's been my hometown for about 14, 15 years now. I love this freaking place. Can you not just feel the energy just being around here? Just being here just right now, man. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
27 cross on duty, Queen's Park, Cross Hill, West Florida. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, no bad.
I'm feeling exciting too much, you know.
Oh, are you afraid with the result?
No, I'm very confident. We're looking at very high turnout today. And secondly, we are hoping a very good result. No campaign for here, including Prime Minister and others, were in Scotland. So,
I'm excited and nervous at the same time. It's like when my team's in the cup final. We really want us to win, but you think, oh no, we're not going to win because it's a bigger team. Oh, but we really want to win. We can do this. Oh no, I'm too scared. It's a bit like that, you know. We've got to win it now. It's now or never. So if we lose, these people are not going to want to risk having another independence referendum. So we really need to do it now, I feel.
What do you think will happen tonight?
It'll be a yes vote. And trust me on that, the people of Scotland know what's best for Scotland. It's good for my future, it's good for everybody's future. We might go through a little rough patch when we start, but as soon as we get rolling, there's no stopping independent Scotland.
We are happy, you know. We got the Pollock Shield, you know, the 90% we can get the vote, you know. I feel from the people's face when he's coming and he tell us, you know. I think so we are winning the Pollock Shield, and this is the heart of the Labours, you know.
I think it's been an absolute privilege being part of one of the most diverse campaigns ever in the whole of British history, if not in the world, and I'm just delighted to have been here and experienced everything that I have. It's been a positive experience all around, but I am exhausted now.
414 so you get 2800 out of that.
I mean, up until last minute we were trying to convince people, because the Better Together or No campaign has been out and scaremongering people, especially within the Asian community. They said you'll be thrown out of the country, or you won't get pensions, you won't get benefits, and you won't get free education and all that. So we've been out talking to people, and we had a very successful day. I mean, we did manage to persuade quite a lot of people. Did you see Sheikh Rizwan's post?
Sorry?
Sheikh Rizwan's post.
No.
He posted that, and I've seen it very late. I mean, even he said, Prophet never said no. I think we have one.
We have.
But let's see. Or how many votes. We walked all the way there.
The entrance is just beyond that television line.
And be a nation again, let's do it again. Look at them all with their union flags. Hoods up so nobody can identify them.
But Paula, it's democracy. They can vote for the no.
It's intimidation and fear. It's nothing to do with the welfare of the country. It's because they believe that, you know, we believe in the Queen and all. Do you know what I mean? It's not about what's best for Scotland. It's what... I just find it incredulous that when faced with a question that says, should Scotland be an independent country, that Scottish people could put no. After I was really down about it, I became really angry. I was so angry. I was angry at these people for cheering those things. I was angry at the Westminster politicians for telling their lies and coming to Scotland and all this kind of thing.
I think we've done a fantastic campaign. We chapped every single door throughout the country, gave loads and loads of information, answered every single question public had. And one thing which didn't work well in our favour was the media. I mean, the BBC was pretty biased towards us. It's a national organisation and they should have run the balanced campaign. And at the same time, in the last minute, when these parliamentarians came from down south, and all the political parties have made various promises, we'll still get more powers. So we will get devil max, and that is the result. You know, people said, okay, let's vote that side. I think we will keep working, and all those promises they have made, we will make sure that they fulfil that. And if they don't, they will face the consequences.
Bouncing.